Hey folks, how's it going? It's been so long since I've been back. Hey Anushka, thank you so much for being so active in the comments. Hi there, Greeny Oshix. Welcome back, Emily. Of course, I won't talk about you if you don't want me to, but oh man, Emily's story is my favorite. I'm sorry I lost a bunch of comments earlier because I temporarily lost my internet, but yeah, keep sending in those hellos. You all know I love displaying y'all on the screen. So yeah, I love how y'all are recognizing each other in the chat. My favorite part of being part of MLH. But yeah, I started the stream earlier than I usually do because I'm so excited to be back after so long. I think it's more than 6 months since I streamed. Emily, huge virtual hugs for you, girl. Emily's one of my favorite hackers out there, hands down. Y'all will know why if she lets me tell her story. But yeah, Emily, let me know if you don't want me to share. But yeah, Emily's awesome. All right, folks, let's keep those hellos coming in. Y'all know I'm gonna pull you up on the screen as soon as you send a comment, no matter what it is. Of course, follow the code of conduct. But yeah, I'm so excited. Today's a simple stream. I am more excited about the stream after this that I'm taking because we're going to be doing some data exploration. And man, it's fun. I was sitting down, opening up my older projects to, make sure that we had something fun to follow along. And I found some really cool stuff for us to do. But yeah, so the first stream right now is going to be very introductory. We're going to play around with some Jupyter notebooks, my bad, collab notebooks. And yeah, it's going to be fun and simple. And I missed you too. I missed you all. I'm so happy to be back. Hi there, Steven. I know someone said hello from UBC earlier. I'm sorry I lost your comments because of the connection for a bit, but keep them coming. Yes. So, Emily, story. I'm going to tell it in a bit once we start. But yeah, I'm so glad to be back. I know I've been getting a lot of messages on Instagram also that hey, Ritvi, we haven't been seeing your streams, and yeah, things kept going wrong somehow. Every time I used to take stream, either my laptop would stop working, my network would go out. So today, I'm prepared with enough backups. I have a bunch of laptops in the backup. We're good, and today's stream's gonna be well. The first one's pretty introductory and basic. Hi, Sukriti. And the second one is going to be more fun, I promise you, because I had a lot of fun prepping for it. And yeah. So, folks, I'm going to give this stream another couple of minutes before we start with the technical stuff. But yeah, I'm just, so happy to be on StreamYard after so long. I'm a little slow with the controls because it's been a while since I've done this. But oh man, this just feels like home, especially with you all saying hello to each other in the comments, especially when you all recognize each other. It's my absolutely favorite part. But all right, so how about I start sharing the PPT? The PPT is very basic, it's very drab because I don't want y'all to be looking at the PPT too much. It's just for reference and for us to just quickly go through what we'll be covering today. It's mostly going to be hands on. We'll be doing a lot of, simple Python code. Hey, MLH, it is. I think, is that 404? I'm thinking, is that 404? I don't know. But yeah, all right. So great. Let me quickly pull up my PPT for y'all. And I found some really nice did I lose stream? There we go. I found some really nice notebooks for us to quickly just open up and start going through because I was looking at some older code, but Colab's come a long way since I last did any data or Python stuff. So I was very happy to know that my life's easier in terms of sharing resources with you. I found some really nice example codes also. See, no matter what you put in comment, I'm gonna pull you all up. This is one of the few things that I do. So in case y'all hey, welcome back, Arivappa. See, I recognize hackers who joined me again. I was at Hack this Fall this weekend and I had so much fun meeting hackers who came up to me and said they have attended my stream or followed along. I think my favorite was someone having followed along one of my LED art streams. I think I might get them back. Maybe next GHW. It's been a while, especially since there are only 3 months left in the hardware season of the year. So let's see. Oh yeah, Hack This Fall was amazing. As y'all, I don't know if y'all have been following me on social media, but my Twitter's blowing up with Hack This Fall, pictures and mentions and whatnot. But yeah, so slide. See, it's been such a long time. I'm so excited. I have so much to say, so much to share with y'all. It's been so long since we have been here. But yeah, I don't know if y'all can tell, but this feels like home to me. Like, coming and talking to people I've known forever. But all right, let's see. See, I told you the PPT is extremely simple and drab. It's just for, making sure I stick to the agenda more than y'all. And as you all know, the streams we usually do here are super interactive and we're solving together, we're debugging together. I always let people who want to come on the stream and share their, resources, share their experiences, come on stream. So if anyone wants to come here and talk about their journey with Python, if you think there is something people should do specifically when they're starting out with Python, especially for machine learning, you are welcome to just put let me know in the comments here, and I'll send you the link on Discord. I do have Discord open. Uh, I do not have multiple monitors or multiple screens today, so I'm going to be switching between on the same screen. So in case y'all send me something on Discord or tag me on Discord anywhere, just let me know in the stream out comments so I know where to follow. All right, let's get started with the PPT. And yeah, if y'all are here for the first time, I promise I'll introduce myself. I do tend to forget to do that, but I remember now. All right, before we continue, I think this is something very important that I like to mention, especially when you're doing introductory topics, like introduction to anything. Ask questions. Like if I tell you that, hey, so and so happens like this, trouble me. Make sure I have to Google that, okay, why are we doing this in this way, right? So yeah, ask as many questions as you can. The more questions you ask, it's not just about asking questions to me, it's about asking and knowing that you're understanding a topic in a 360-degree manner. I do this for most introductory topics I take, but yeah, we'll see as we go. All right. Awesome. Let's move on. Quick agenda. What we're going to be doing today. We're going to be doing an introduction. We'll do a quick intuition exercise. If y'all have joined me before, y'all know what this is. If y'all haven't, this is fun. I promise you, it's amazing what y'all come up with. Y'all are awesome, and this is your time to shine. We'll do a very quick syntax overview. Like, so when I learn something, I like to break it down in something, a little bit funny, a little bit cringy, so that it's very difficult for me to forget. And we're just going to go over some of that. It's going to be very simple. We're going to look at basic data structures. Uh, we're going to be looking at some libraries. I'll quickly take you through the PPT in the first 10-ish minutes, uh, and then we will start with Colab. That's a great question, Vedant. So we're going to start with the basic Python tutorial, and then by the end of this stream, we're going to start looking at some specific things for ML, right? For example, we're going to do an overview rather of the basic syntax. I will share with you all these amazing Colab notebooks that I found for Python. So we'll do the Python basic, just go over the syntax, and the Python advanced, go over some advanced functions and concepts. It's all maintained and given by Google itself. I was so impressed to see the collab. And in the end, that is in the last 40-ish minutes, what we'll do is we'll be looking at libraries and frameworks specifically for ML, right? So we will look at matplotlib, we will look at cplots, we will look at pandas, and we'll look at scipy. We'll run some code snippets to just get an idea of how it works. Of course, not too much in depth. The stream after this, however, we're going to be doing some pretty cool data stuff and making two tiny projects. So again, great question, Rahul. We'll not be making any project in this per se. We'll be making and running a bunch of code snippets on Colab. And in the next stream, that is at 3:30 p.m. IST today, we will be learning and making two tiny projects, right? TensorFlow, no, we won't be looking. So we will run a TensorFlow code snippet, but we won't be doing it in depth. All right. Because again, I want to make sure that this streams more to get everyone at par about a lot of different concepts. Yep, Google Colab. Thanks, Pavan, for clarifying. All right. So again, it's a simple but quick revision stream rather, so that we're comfortable with writing code, we're comfortable with the syntax, we're comfortable with Colab. And I know you all have been doing some pretty cool stuff over the entire week with the different coaches, but this is more of a chill, you can revise some concepts, maybe teach me a bunch of things, and you'll be like, Ritvi, no, 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 you've got it wrong. It works for you, maybe it's work, the concepts work for you, but here's how it really works. So if you think you can explain something better, you all are always welcome on the stream. Uh, Yes, this is basically an overview of Python Vedant, and the next stream isn't going to be about ML again. It's going to be about data in ML. So we're going to be doing two tiny projects about fetching data and then visualizing data. Okay, so just in all transparency, right? And of course, the best part about streams is following along live. So if you want to stick around and help the other hackers, I would really appreciate that. Okay. Awesome. Great. Before we continue, however, and before I introduce myself, let's quickly make sure that all of us register and check in, right? So, if you all don't know how to do that or where to do that, this is the page that you need to pull up to register and check in. Why do you want to register and check in? Well, all those extra community points you get for participating and showing up. I want to make sure you all get those and you all get those extra stickers for attending extra sessions. So this is the link that I've sent already in the chat. You all can click on that and it should take you to this event. It's a very simple process. You all should be logged into my MLH. It will show your profile picture and your name right here. If you are, it should be a simple register and check-in button. I'll do that for you all and show it. And we're good to go. And if you register right now, you'll be automatically checked in as well. Make sure y'all do that, because that way we know and what feedback to collect from y'all. All right, if y'all need me to give y'all a minute to do it, let me know. I'm happy to let y'all take a minute to register and check in. Awesome. Let's continue. So let's continue. Quick introduction about me, right? So if y'all are joining the stream for the first time, folks, hi, I'm Ritvi. I used to stream a lot in capitals and extra letters a few months back. And like I said, I was moving cities. I don't know if y'all noticed, but I'm back in Pune for a bit. I'm currently based out of Bangalore. And yeah, I've been a coach for more than 2.5 years now. It is surreal to me. I joined during my last year of college, and I've been working for a bit now. Uh, I'm a maker, as you all can tell. This is not a virtual background. This is my actual background. I have a bunch of pegboards, and I love making things. My current favorite project is working with cycle rims. So I'm trying to put a motor to a cycle rim and get some glass on it. I'll show that to you at the end of the stream if anyone wants to see and remembers. So a maker, that's a great question, Vedant. I love the questions Vedant is asking. I will try and see if I can get you a little bit of extra swag, Vedant, for being so active in the comments, right? So a maker is basically someone who likes working with the hands, right? So I do a bunch of crafts, I do a bunch of electronics, and I like mixing them up. So as you can see, I have a drill machine, I have a grinder, I work with glass a lot, stained glass. And no, I'm not in a garage. I'm in a tiny room in my house that I hijacked from everyone else in the family for my maker stuff. So let me see if I can give you an example. So here's the kind of glass stuff I make. So this is glass, and I've cut it and then I've soldered it together to create something a little bit pretty. I hope I answered your question, Vedant. So anyone who makes things is a maker, and I'm sure you all are already makers when you're following along streams, because you all are making things. It does not always have to be hardware, but it's usually it's commonly referred to people who work with a lot of physical stuff and tangible stuff. If y'all have not heard about the maker movement, I definitely recommend that y'all check out Maker Fair and the Make website. They have some very cool projects for y'all. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad it sounds cool. Yeah, the drill machine is one of my favorite things to talk about. Done, Rahul, done. Let me, after tomorrow, we have a mini event in the morning, and I'll just take my time. We can do a lot of, random stuff in the mini event. So we'll take my time. I'll do a little bit of showing off of my space. Maybe I'll give you a tour around. I have some bunch of wall paintings as well. So yeah, craft, work, debatable, but yeah, mostly craft. You're right. I'm glad you like it, Anushka. I'm so glad I answered your question, Vedant. Again, great questions. Thank you, Anvesh. I'm glad you find it so cool. Thank you, Ralph Nick. And yeah, awesome. I will remember to give you all a tour because, as you all can tell, I've put a lot of work into this. So yeah, I'm going to show you some pretty cool stuff tomorrow. However, let's get back to this Python stream. And yeah, so I'm currently obsessed with glass and scuba diving, and I'll talk more about scuba diving also tomorrow at the mini event. All right. Great. Let us continue. Before, however, I continue in terms of what we're doing next, I think I need to mention Emily here. I love talking about Emily. Thank you, DJ Buzz. I'm glad you liked the tiny show off sessions with me. But yeah, so Emily is actually not a student, or she is actually one of the, true students. And she's actually in the middle of a career change. She is much older to us, and I will let Emily talk about where she's at in the comments. But if you don't know who Emily is, it's the one with the username Shimari. So yeah, she's one of the most awesome people and one of my favorite MLHers to talk about. Yes, scuba diving indeed, Ralph Hack. So this session is supposed to last 2 hours. We're already some 10 minutes into it. But again, it's supposed to be a very chill session. We will be doing some very basic code. Okay. All right. Intuition exercise. So what intuition exercise is, I'll ask you a question, and it's not really going to be a question where you're going to answer to be right. You're going to answer more to, you know, have fun. Okay. So let's start. Has anyone attended one of my intuition exercises before? I guess not. So I'm just gonna go ahead with the question. All right, bending savant, great username by the way. Uh, and you all are saying no quickly. All right, no worries. So we're gonna be doing a. Oh, Shamari, you have done an intuition exercise before, but it's okay. We will be doing that. So I'm gonna ask you a question, and you're basically gonna come up with an analogy for me. All right. This has not. This does not have specifically to do anything with the session, but this is just to get you all get your correlation brains going. So that you all can correlate things with absolutely random things and remember it better. All right. Awesome. Let's go. So can you tell me what is an API without using any technical terms? What's the first thing that comes to your head when you think of an API? Not in terms of tech, right? So like when you look around and you see the thing and you're like, huh, I could use this as an example for API. Y'all gave me some amazing answers last time when I asked this question. So get your thinking hats on. And okay, connector, great. Helper, provider, all right. So maybe when you go to you go outside, you look at a nurse and you're like, maybe she's an equivalent of an API. Maybe restaurant example. Anushka, do you want to elaborate on what you mean by the restaurant example? Yes, that's the technical term, right? Give me like, you enter a place, you look around and you see something and you're like, huh, this is basically how an API works. Awesome. See, these are the lines I'm asking you to think on. Fetching something from other's place. Yes, you're basically being an API, right? You're going, collecting something, and then showing up. A pretty cool interaction indeed. Okay, that's an application that uses Uber. All right, you know what? You all did really well. for interface for data transfer. Yes, but these are all very, very technical terms and technical definitions, right? Give me a very quirky, like something you wouldn't usually use to describe an API. All right, no worries. Y'all did an amazing job. I am so proud of your answers. Uh, Hola Math is used as an API. All right, interesting example. Or a gig worker. Interesting thought. Please feel free to elaborate on how you mention an ATM machine. Interesting. Uh, I love it when you all, hype each other up. Awesome! That's perfect, Anushka. Thank you so much. These are the kind of examples I'm looking at, right? Like just quirky, out of the world examples. Next time you go to a restaurant, you're gonna be like, huh, Ritvi made me explain this to her. Uh, Interaction. Okay, that's a good example of an API. I guess gossip would be more like it. Gossip would be a bad example of an accurate or a good example of a bad API, an inaccurate API. But yes, interaction is good. I love it when you all hype each other up. Awesome. Great. Thank you so much, Bite Bending Savant. Oh, a gig worker. Oh, you mean like a task rabbit of sorts, right? People who can like take up gigs to deliver and things. That makes sense. That's a perfect example. Awesome! You all did an amazing job. So I'm gonna language is an amazing example indeed, Anushka. That's actually a very good example. I haven't heard that before, and I love that. Right? Language is a very good example of an API. But my favorite example till date has been siblings. Siblings are one of my favorite examples that hackers have come up with. Basically, I don't know about you, but basically, how people boss around their siblings to do random stuff. I just asked my little sister to do something, and I think that's one of the most creative examples I've heard of an API. But awesome. So again, this is not related to Python. I understand, but this is just to get your correlations brain up and your correlations mechanism up. Whenever I talk about something, feel free to correlate it with something you see, something around you, whether it's definitions, whether it's syntax. Try and see if you can find something around you that makes sense. I promise you, it might take 5 seconds extra to get through a particular topic, but you remember things so much better. And it's so easy to just fire those neurons and get what you're looking for when you want to recall something. All right. Let me know if that helps. And I would love to hear if eventually you apply it to a learning technique, or you apply this learning technique to something you're learning, and how it goes. For example, when I used to learn something new, I used to draw these really weird diagrams or these weird analogies again. It made my life so much easier to remember stuff. All right, folks. Awesome. Thank you so much for being patient with me. I know y'all are excited to get started with Python. So let us continue and do the syntax. Again, this is going to be a very simple syntax. Remember, we're going to go over the PPT in the next 10-ish minutes. I'll share this PPT link with you. Again, it's very drab. It's very to the point. Because we have some collab notebooks up, we'll start writing code in that, and it'll be more fun. We'll be running code and helping each other out. All right, let's go. Syntax. Like I said, funny stuff, correlation stuff is always fun to remember. So this is one of my favorite ways people have tried to explain recursion to me. To understand recursion, you must, well, understand recursion. So pointless doesn't really explain something, but you remember a lot, right? Quick assignment symbol in Python is an equal to. Dents aren't also bad because dents are what make your program run and input logic to your program. It's easy to curl around colons, then semicolons. We use colons here to, again, assign things and define things. And well, Python says so anyway. And definition, same def, right? So again, a simple, quirky, slightly cringy way, but we remember a bunch of things. Okay, let's quickly look at keywords. Okay, it's gonna be very, very simple, y'all. I'm pretty sure you already know a lot of it. So let's go. All right. False true data types for Boolean, right? So we do not use one and zero to equate false and true values. We use true and false, unlike C, right? We have and, or, and not for logical operators. We have break. This ends the loop prematurely. This is similar to other languages, except again, we do not have a semicolon. Continue finishes the loop iteration. Uh, Again, similar to other languages, but no semicolon. Class, as you can see, we're using a colon here. So we're defining class beer, and a colon helps the language know that, okay, from here the definition starts. The indentation helps it assign the, logical value on where comes what first. Okay. The class defines a new, class, and helps you reuse a bunch of stuff you define there. And def defines a new function or a class method. So for the first parameter self points to the class object, and when calling the class method, first parameter is implicit. Does that make sense? It's basically a similar it's a very basic object oriented programming concept. Please let me know if you'd like to explain or go over anything. I'm assuming you all already are acquainted with a lot of things here. Uh, we will be coding in Google Colab. That's an amazing question. That is a really good question. So we will be looking into when we use double underscores in a bit. But that is a very good question, and we will definitely be going over it. I love how observant you are, Olive. Great question, y'all. We'll be looking into double underscore parameters and functions soon. Okay, let me see if I can actually pull up. Hmm, I do have it, the code snippet. We're gonna be practicing that code snippet at some point, but let's see. Where is my Python tutorial? This is my Python tutorial. Mm. All right, I know that I have a code snippet for double underscore somewhere. We have a bunch of snippets to go through. So we'll get to it when we get to it. But amazing questions, folks. Absolutely. When we get to it, we will. Okay. Great questions. I love how attentive you all are. Awesome. Let us go ahead. All right. If, elif, else, right? So we do not have else if in Python. We have elif. That's a big thing to note. Okay. So conditional program execution. Program starts with if branch, tries the elif branches, and then finishes with the else branch as any other language, right? So you first start with an if. If that doesn't work, you go to an else if, which translates to elif in Python. You have a bunch of elif conditions, and then you have an else condition. Now if you wanted to add a bunch of more conditions in every if, you can start with an indentation, and that is how it will loop through. All right, then we have for and while. The for here is also fairly different from other languages, right? So you can see for something in a given list or an array, you can go through, you can iterate through it, and then print as it goes. It's supposedly more easier to do for this way, especially when you're handling and dealing with a bunch of asymmetrical data or inconsistent data. All right, then we have the while loop. So again, similar semantics, right? Um, Much lesser brackets, as you can see, no semicolons whatsoever. And again, indentation here plays a great big role. So you have j equal to 0 while j less than 3, because this is indented. That's how the program knows that while the loop is running, uh, while the while loop is running, you need to stay within the indented code. Wait. All right, in checks whether the element is in sequence. So 42 in the given list array, we'll look at data structures in a bit, will return a true. right? Because it does exist. And you can see that for I in 012, where you can define the I earlier as well. You can also, again, you're using in to check whether the element, or rather loop through the elements here, right? Then we have is, checks whether both elements point to the same object, right? So this is basically your equal to equivalent, right? Uh, ah, okay, right? None, empty value constant, right? Empty value constant is especially important when you are running some tests and when you want to do recursion, when you want to quickly check bunch of things and then go back, right? uh, as you can see, Python uses a lot more keywords than numbers, or overloading a bunch of numericals or letters. All right. So we have lambda function with no name. It's an anonymous function. You can have a lambda function that does anything, and it'll have no name, and you can use it directly, right? Then we have return, again, like any other language, it returns what you ask it to return. As you can see over here, nowhere are we actually defining anything, whether something's an integer or whether something's string, whether something's a float or a long, because Python is a dynamically tagged language, right? Which means that it assigns the value as it goes. All right, so let's look at data structures. Let me know if you all have any questions to this point. If not, we'll quickly continue. I would like to go through the data structures in the next 3-ish minutes so we can start with the code lab. All right, I see no questions coming in. I'm going to give you all a quick minute. Awesome. Let's go with data structures. Again, love it when you all hype each other up. Let's go. All right, data structures. So much on the screen. Again, this is not something you all are supposed to be looking at again. It's, if you ever want to, quickly go through or have something to refer to, this is what I've done it for. Okay, let's start with list. It stores a sequence of elements. Unlike strings, you can modify list objects, right? So they're mutable. Basically, I can have 20 objects and I can go ahead and randomly modify the third object or the third element or the fourth element. Unlike a string, where if I had to change something, I would have to reassign the entire string, right? Dictionary, useful data structures for storing key value pairs. Dictionaries are something unique to Python and very, very used in Python. So dictionaries basically help you assign a key value pair. All right. Then we have adding elements to a list. So this is how you can add an element to your list. You do a dot amend. You can also do a dot insert, and you can specify where you want to insert it by specifying before the element before you want, or rather, if you want to insert element at the second place, you specify the element in the first place, uh, or rather the position of the place you want to insert it at. Then you have a bunch of ways you can append without using the keywords, right? So the first one is the append keyword. Then you have insert, where you're giving the position and the element you want inserted in that position. In the last one, you're not using a keyword, you're rather using a numerical overload over here to add the element. All right. Removal, it's apparently so for lists. We will see why. But this is how you remove it. The remove keyword here helps. Reverses list order, again, simple enough. We can sort through the list. It uses time sort to do so, and a simple function call there, a function method call, simple method call there for the list helps. My bad, I've been saying keywords. These are all methods for the list. Okay. Indexing, right? So you can basically return an index and for whatever you want. However, the worst case for the whole list transversal is slow, right? Stack again is very important, because you can use a Python lists using the append and pop functions also. This is helpful, especially if you're coming from a background in C or CPP, where you're used to using a stack instead of list, right? And set will basically help you set it. Basically, it's like a filter, right? You can sort it in a way you want. Okay. Awesome. Let's finish looking at dictionaries. Reading and writing elements to a dictionary is also fairly simple. You can literally, use the methods associated. Everything has a simple method associated with it. So, as you can see, you can not just print, but also do different methods while printing it, right? Uh, then for a dictionary iteration, you can access the key value pairs of a dictionary with the items method. Okay. So again, you can see we're using the in keyword. And when we're doing cal.items, it's going to list all your entire key value pair. Okay. And you can iterate. So basically, you can stop at any point. So when you're over here, you're doing a print k if v is greater than 500. All right. And as you can see, the if else statement is in a single line, which means you do not need to have a new line or an indentation when it's a very if and else statement. Okay. Then we have a membership operator. All right. So if, to check if the in keyword in a set or dictionary contains an element. Again, right. Simple, right? You have a dictionary, you're checking if something is a member of that dictionary or not. All right. So for the example that they've given, we have basket with apple, eggs, banana, and orange. So print eggs in basket, we'll get a true, because eggs in basket is basically checking if there is eggs in the basket member, is if eggs is a member of the basket. And then for mushroom in basket, because there is no mushroom here for the basket group, we're going to get a false. Make sense? I'm just going to quickly check StreamYard if you all have any questions. Uh, Good night, Green Yoshix. I hope you can join us for this data stream. It's going to be fun. I'm really excited about the two tiny projects we're doing. And that is a great question again, Tanmay. And when we do define a lambda function, we'll get to it. All right. But if another hacker wants to go ahead and answer the question, you are more than welcome to. Okay. All right, folks, let us continue. And then, of course, we have list and set comprehension. It's a concise way to create lists while assigning key value pairs in the dictionary. Okay, so they're not complicated. Did I miss this? I think I missed a slide. Oh, I did. I lost it. Anyway, so these were the complex data structures. Talk Steve, show me the code, as you all know. So these are some codes that I have added for you all to look at later. Don't worry too much about it. We will be doing all of this in the collab. But yeah, it's a good way to start. These are some simple, ways to get your hands acquainted and your hands dirty with the language and get comfortable with it in a simple way, right?
So you might wonder
This
why
is a
we are
really
doing
nice video
all.
on why you should use Python. And again, when I share the PPT with you, y'all can go through it. Okay, it's supposed to be very nice and simple. Let's quickly look at the libraries we'll be quickly running today, and then we can go on to Colab. Okay, like I said, I want to finish the PPT very quickly and then stick to code. Right. So these are the 9 libraries we're going to be looking at. These are the 9 according to what I read are extremely popular and well used in the machine learning world. So if y'all are planning to start your journey, or y'all have just started your journey, these are some things to keep a tab on while learning one thing in depth, right? All right, NumPy. We're going to be using a bunch of NumPy today. So basically, NumPy is useful for large multi-dimensional array. It is especially used for matrix processing. You'll see when you're working with NumPy, you're using a lot of vectors and matrices. Then it's extremely useful for linear algebra, right? Because if you can do multi-dimensional matrix processing, of course, linear algebra becomes much easier. Fourier transform is something very interesting. I did use NumPy extensively when I was doing some digital signal processing projects, especially in college. I have a background in electronics communication. So Random number capabilities. So random number is again another, when you're trying to, you know, work with data. At sometimes you want to randomize data in a really nice way to make sure that your model or your machine learning project is behaving well and is correctly trained. So random number capabilities is pretty important there. All right. So this is a quick code snippet for NumPy. You can see we're working with matrices because you have an array of array, right? So we have arrays of rank 2 basically. Then we're creating two arrays of rank 1. Okay. And then we're, like I said, we work a lot with vectors. We're doing a dot product, and then we're also doing inner product of vectors, and then we're doing a matrix and vector product, right? So what's the difference? We'll see, right? So when you're doing a dot product of inner, you're doing a array to rank to array dot product rank to array. And when you're doing a matrix and a vector product, you're doing a rank to array with a rank 1 array. All right, makes sense. And in the end, you're printing both your products, right? So you first get your output as you go, right? So first dot product is going to give you a single number. Your next, when you're doing a matrix and a vector product, you're getting back the rank 1 of the array. And when you're doing a matrix and matrix product, you're getting a, again, rank 2 array back. Make sense? So first you did rank 1 into rank 1, a dot product. I don't know if you'll remember dot product. If y'all don't, we can quickly go over it. Matrix and a vector product, which means that you have a rank 2 and a rank 1. So you're basically having two different dimensions of matrices being multiplied, which is the dot product. And then you have a rank 2 into rank 2, right? I hope this makes sense, folks. I know this is very vague and very, very random of an example, but it's basically to show you all that it's extremely easy to work with matrices in NumPy. Sure, Shamari, we can go over why people use Jupyter notebooks, but we will be using Colab. I kind of prefer Colab, but we'll look into why people usually use Jupyter notebooks. There we go. That's a great answer. Rohit, thank you so much for explaining. We'll, of course, look at an example where we're using a lambda. Again, y'all are hyping each other up. All my heart, folks. Mm. Then someone asked, what does Kiras do? I have a really nice video from Google themselves about what is Kiras, and we'll play that in a bit. Uh, but thank you, Anvesha, for answering. I love it when you all help each other out. What are neural networks, and will we work on them in the upcoming workshops, and how to create them? What are they used for? Love the enthusiasm and love, I want to learn so much. And I'm so glad you're asking these questions, because this way I know what content to create for next time. But you know what? We have Games Week coming up next month, and we can do something on neural networks, Tanmay. Unfortunately, I won't be covering neural networks in any of the streams today or tomorrow. Yes, Socratic, I am an Indian. Beautiful answer, Anvesha. Anvesha, I feel like you already know a lot about machine learning. So if you want to hop on the stream at any given point and, help me explain a bunch of things, you are welcome to. Yep, collab is pretty awesome. I prefer collab. I'm not very fond of their generate code yet. It feels like it's very superficial. But then again, I am exploring it after a long time, so I really need to. Lovely, folks. Y'all are so awesome when hyping each other up and appreciating each other. Quickly, okay, let's finish the PPT and then we'll take a quick 5-minute breather and start with the code. Okay. So again, like I said, NumPy point is that it will help you work with matrices very easily. It'll make your life simple when you want to work with matrices. And especially when you're doing machine learning and you have a bunch of data you're dealing with, you basically want to simplify your data into matrices and then work on it together. All right. SciPy, another really, 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 you know, heard about library when you're talking about machine learning, or rather advanced functions in Python. So what does SciPy do? It contains modules for optimization, linear algebra, integration is something that's very interesting, and statistics. So you'll see a lot of people work when they're working, especially with a lot of data, or they're more towards data science than machine learning. They use a lot more SciPy. All right. So you can see SciPy, we said it's used for optimization, right? So over here, what we're doing is we're manipulating an image, right? Because it's much easier to do it with SciPy. So we're doing a bunch of imports, then we're reading the file using the read program. Okay. As you can say, we've imported imread, which is a library which will help you read and extract the information from the file that you're reading. IMRead specifically supports image reading, right? And then we're doing a print img.dtype and then img.shape, right? That's how you're getting the first image, right? We got the first image as it is. Then we're tinting the image. How are we doing it? By simply being able to multiply a matrix code. We're basically multiplying an RGB value and then we're saving it. And once we save it, when we're, you know, want to show it again, we're resizing it, and then we're saving the resized image. So you can see that your first output was this, your second output is a tinted image, and your third output is a resized tinted image. Now there's something wrong with this code. As you can tell, we have only printed the image once and we have not printed the image twice again. But when we do run this code, we will have to print it again to see the later two outputs. All right. So again, you can see how simple it was to manipulate an image using SciPy, right? So these are again languages, because when you're working with data, you're usually working a lot with images, and like when you're going towards computer vision, it's used a lot there. All right, Anvesha says, sure, thanks. Anvesha, let me know whenever you're ready to hop onto the stream. I am very happy to have you here. Tangent, I've been working with some friends in collab visualizing sine waves. Sine waves is fun. We will be doing some sine wave and cosine wave visualization with matplotlibs in a bit. Uh, when Emily says she has friends she's working with, I have such beautiful images of, how those US colleges print their brochures with, people sitting on the lawn and it's a diverse group. I always visualize Emily when she talks about working with people, that group. Very, very ideal. Uh, I don't understand your question, Tanmay. You don't want to use the NumPy library? Are you asking if there's another way to do it? Let me know when you. I'm looking. I'm again switching between tabs, so I'll come back in a bit. But I'm going to continue on to the next library until then. But I would love to know more about your question, Tanmay. Okay. Awesome. Let's go. Scikit-learn. Again, very, very Scikit-learn. I haven't observed. Again, I don't work in machine learning or I'm not professionally involved there. I do it for fun. I like learning new things. So Scikit-learn, I see a lot. It being used a lot in tutorials. However, when I look at collabs examples or any other example repositories or open source repositories, I haven't seen it used a lot. So if you all know some organization or an open source organization using it, I would love to see it being used. I've seen a lot in towards data science tutorials and articles, but not in an open source like a project, right? But scikit-learn is very useful for supervised and unsupervised learning, data mining, and data analysis, right? So scikit-learn. So when we look at machine learning, there are a bunch of things that happen, right? First, you have your language, which is again Python, which is why we're going to be practicing Python. Then, once you have a good hold on your language, you start with your end goal, right? So machine learning or AI is basically you have data and you give the algorithm the answer. What the algorithm does is it tries to analyze all the questions that can lead to that answer, right? So let me draw you a map in a bit. That's how machine learning really works. You basically have data, you're giving it the answer, you're using the algorithm to generate all the questions that can lead to the answer, and training your model to be able to give you answers based on the questions that you get. I hope that makes sense, right? So in that process, you have to prepare your data when you're doing that algorithm mapping, for your algorithm to be efficient with how it's mapping the data to the answers. The data needs to be prepared, and when you're preparing that data, you need to do a bunch of things like, well, data mining if you do not have the data already. You do a lot of data analysis. Our second stream today is all about, and once you have that, you basically then use algorithms to either make the data better while training a model, or just simply training the model. So supervised and unsupervised learning is basically related to training a model, right? Again, this is a pretty cool cloud Google Cloud video. Let me know if you all want to watch it right now or watch it later. I have a similar one. All right, let's see. Another way, all right. So you basically want something to be able to work with matrices, but not NumPy, correct? See, see, I told you, Emily. I imagine a very diverse group, and this is exactly what I imagined. Although I imagined more younger people, but this is so cool. Uh, isn't it awesome, folks? We have such, wisdomous people around us, and I specifically use the word wisdom is not wise. Emily is super fun to hang out with. Uh, yes, yes, chatbots are basically trained machine learning models. Again, I just have to always highlight when you all are trying to hype each other up. Uh, I'm glad to know that you've tried to create a Discord chatbot, Tanmay. Especially, have you used machine learning or training there? I am not sure what this yes is for, Tanmay, because I've asked a bunch of questions, but feel free to clarify. Okay. Oh, we're going slow. Okay, so I'm now gonna play the video then. I'm gonna share the link. Oh, you did use AI basically for your chatbot. That's really cool. I would love for you to come on stream by the end of the stream and show off what you built if you're up for it. Same goes for you, Anvesha. If you have some projects that you've already done with machine learning or even used AI APIs, you all are welcome to let me know in the chat section or in the comment section, and I will send you a link on Discord to join the stream. Okay, awesome. So you all can go through these videos later. I really like them. It's funny. Again, they make it really nice. I love how Google explains a bunch of concepts, right? Awesome. This is scikit-learn. So scikit-learn has a lot of modules, and again, so any of these, right? NumPy, SciPy, Scikit. They're humongous libraries with a bunch of modules and libraries within it. So over here, we're importing data sets, metrics, and decision tree classifier. Okay, what we're doing is we're loading a data set of iris. Okay, which is basically your eyes iris, right? So we're basically trying to do a iris recognition, or the security cameras that recognize your iris. For that, this is the first step you would do. You would basically take a data set and work on it. And over here you can see there's a lot of things that is being done to the data, right? So you're using a decision tree classifier, which is going to take a huge algorithm, make your life very easy. You don't have to see what the algorithm is doing. I mean, I would love for you all to know what's happening on the background, but basically it's making your life easy by calling a function, or rather a method that you can give all these data to, or rather these parameters to work on the data to. So you're telling that class weight has to be none, criterion, you're giving a max depth, you're giving a max feature. Don't worry about these terms. When we do the data handling later today, we'll look into it. But basically, it lets you specify a bunch of things and does all the work for you and provides you with the output. So when we're done, we actually make predictions, like I said, right? We are giving a model the data, we are working on the data. So you can see the first thing we're doing is we're telling that, okay, this is the data, but take the data from here, take the, arrange the data so and so, make sure that the data you're taking is split here, which means, so when you have the entire data, you split it for training, testing, and then, actual prediction, the model prediction, right? So what you're doing, you're basically doing all of that, and then it's basically doing all the work, and in the end you're doing an expected is data set the target, predicted is model or predict, and you're printing all the metrics. So it's done all the work for you, and now it's telling you the result of certain things that have been already tried with the data. All right, so this isn't your model. It's telling you that if you were to make a model and, use this data, this would be the chances of getting, well, the accurate prediction. And, well, of course, then you also can, after this, you basically try it with data that's not in the data set to check its accuracy. All right. It's very confusing, I can imagine. But once we start doing it, it's going to make sense, right? So over here, you see this we're doing a model dot fit also. Basically, we're taking the data and fitting it into the model. So we know how a model works, and we're mapping the data set to match the parameters of the model. Okay. Again, don't worry about it too much. We will look into it. Oh, this is interesting. So they said that if your training data is close to your predicting data, the better the model performs. But how do we balance it while splitting? That's a great question, Tanmay. So that'll depend, one, on your data, say, data set size, second, on your data set consistency. So when you're doing data processing, right, again, during your process of the entire machine learning, when you're starting from scratch, right? So again, we're learning the language and we're learning the libraries that exist. We're right now absorbing information, right? Second, what you do is you take a data set and now then you analyze the data set, right? So you first see what the data set contains. So this is an entire engineering field in which you're just seeing if the data is fit for being trained, right? You're just analyzing the data. So you start by cleaning it, you start by seeing if there are any missing values you need to add. What do you mean by missing values? We'll look into it in the later stream. Then you do a bunch of exploratory data analysis, right? What is that? You basically visualize and try to see a visual of, okay, how spread out is my data? What is it? And you visualize it in different ways to see if there's a way for you to train the model in a more accurate way. So let's say you have 5 columns and a lot of rows. You're going to match each column to each, visualize it, see where you're getting a nice differentiation of plotting. So basically, machine learning is literally like drawing a graph between decision making. There's a really nice example and a really nice visualization for that, and I will show that to you. Yes, you can. So it's funny because when we're doing all of this, we're actually using different models that already exist, fitting your data into that model, and then using that model to do it, right? So a lot of times you're going to have outliers, which are very high and very low values of the data, and you basically want to see that, is this data really helping your model? If not, you're going to either get rid of it or you're going to adjust it, your parameters, such that your outliers come in the region. Like I said, right, you're plotting different parameters, again different parameters, to see where your data is really being split. When I say split here, not in terms of prediction, test, etc., but split in the sense of decision making, right? So imagine you have data set, okay, and then I plot it in like 20 ways, because that's the amount of parameters I have, and then I have this one specific graph, okay, where I have all my one parameter blue in the top half and all the red parameter in the less, lower half. So at this point, I know that if I have an equation that goes right through the middle, like a, x is equal to y graph, uh, it will be the best algorithm to give me decisions, right? That's literally what you're doing. You're trying to basically plot graphs and see where your parameters distinguish enough for you to create a curve, which is going to be your equation or your algorithm, to be able to give you the right region whenever you're making predictions. Does that make a little bit of sense? If not, let me quickly open a Jamboard in a bit and we'll go through it. Okay. Hey, 404 not found. Hey, Yash, I'm so glad to see you here. Oh, I did send a Discord announcement, but next time I will send you a personal message. Yash has owned it. Uh, I love it when you all recognize each other on stream. Correct, Nilay, right? So I'm talking about one specific algorithm where you're basically, clustering your data. Exactly, exactly. See, you got it. So we're basically clustering the data to see an algorithm. But this is essentially what you're doing with any data. The more data parameters you have, the more complex it gets, of course. But this is the best way to explain why we're doing what we're doing, right? So that is why we're going to use a model to make sure we're still working on the data, and once we're happy with the data is when we're going to use the right model to actually make predictions. uh oh, thank you so much, Yash. I'm glad you're coming here and attending the stream, but I would hate if you lost out any marks in your boards. And yes, Yash runs a Python community that you all should definitely join. But yeah, best of luck for your chemistry exam, Yash. Go study. I can't wait to see you back in my streams active once your boards are over. In case you all are not from India, boards are basically the grade 10 slash grade 12 exams that is conducted by the education board, and it is a pretty big deal. Done, gosh, done. I will shoot your DM. That would be fun indeed, Tanmay. And you know what? I wasn't planning on doing that today, but if we have time in the next stream, we can try and do that. Okay. Yeah, we'll use some AI and see if it can help us do things a little more quickly. Okay. I love the enthusiasm you all have. I am just oof, mind blown, especially since I'm joining after so long. Love the questions. Love the questions. Keep them coming. I have a tab on all the questions you've asked, the double underscore. Uh, well, I forgot the second one, but I'll go back and check. I promise, and I'll answer all of them before we turn down the stream. Okay, great. Thiano, I'm not going to explain this too much because I haven't seen this being used a lot. But if you have and you all want me to, let me know. I'm happy to go through it. And what we'll do is once we're going through the code, we'll take these code snippets that I have on the PPT and quickly run them, right? Copy, paste, run. And it should be fairly easy for us to understand the behavior, right? Theano is used for optimizing the utilization of CPU and GPU and diagnose different types of error. So you can tell that Theano is used at a much later stage of machine learning and AI once you're done with the data. And we're not going there today, right? We're sticking to just to the point where we're using and working on data, right? This is a simple code. I'm not explaining it, but I will give you all 30-ish seconds to go through it. Uh, oh, you do want me to explain Theano? Cool. Let me quickly see if I can pull up a nice visualization for it. Uh, I like using images. Like I said, I'm a pretty visual person, and I like being able to visualize concepts. But if not, we will get to the part of Theano at some point in the next GHW in case you all are interested. So Theano is used at a much, much later stage of well, machine learning, right? So Theano is mostly used for deep learning, which is after machine learning. So machine learning, then deep learning falls under AI to some extent. All right. So since Emily does want me to explain, I when we run the code, I will explore a little more into it. Okay, we'll look into it a little depth. But yeah, this is mostly used for deep learning, and as you can see, it's also using Tensor. All right, TensorFlow. We will use this a little more in the next session if we have time. This is again the next part of. So you first have data, you work on the data, then you build an ML model. So you use models that already exist to fit your data, make sure your data is good, do the data processing, use a bunch of different Python libraries to visualize, play around with the data. You basically spend a lot of time just twisting and playing around with the data. Like imagine your data is like a ball of play doh, and you're just, making different shapes, kneading it, splitting it, and just playing around with it until it is ready to be built into something good. And then TensorFlow walks in, and it basically does a lot of model building. It also is used to train and run deep neural networks. Again, we're not going into the AI side of it today or tomorrow at all, because even I haven't worked that much with it. I mostly use a lot of created code and edit it to my project purposes. But machine learning, I've been playing around with for a bit, so we can talk about that, right? So we won't go to the AI side anyway. Right? This is a simple code of TensorFlow again, working with matrices, right? It's using a different method to multiply two different arrays. Okay, you can see it's very simple to use, and we will use TensorFlow if we have time today to build a model. Tomorrow, however, we're going to be building models for the edge, which is your IoT. So that's going to be a different universe altogether because that falls under TinyML. Okay, Kiras. Tanmay, I think, asked what's Kiras, or you answered what was Kiras, Tanmay. In any case, it is a framework that works on top of TensorFlow. Okay, again, it is a very high level API, and it's used for again deep learning, right? So we won't be looking a lot into it, but if you all want resources to read, or code labs to try, I'm happy to provide you links for you all to play around with it. This is a really nice, again, funny exploration of Kira's, an introduction to it, and y'all can watch it your in your own time. I'll send the PPT link right after we're done. Okay. PyTorch, another very common library used in this world. Again, it is used for tensor and neural networks optimizers. AI stuff, let's not think about it too much, but I want you all to be aware of it and understand that this is actually built upon the existing frameworks that we already spoke about. Okay. Uh, that's a really nice video comparing Kira's, PyTorch, and TensorFlow. So I'll just pause here for a quick second so you all can see the difference between it. All right, so this is a simple difference between all of them. I'm going to give you all 30 seconds here. Thank you, Emily. Yes, I speak mostly about IoT actually. Most of my streams are IoT based. I very rarely do software based concepts or streams. Uh, no. Well, kind of. See, the thing is, Theano is helping you manage your CPU and GPU. It is not helping you manage memory as much. It's helping you manage your data to your CPU or GPU, if that makes sense, right? We're not giving Theano access to your CPU, GPU. Rather, we're giving Theano access to your data, and then it's working with it. Does that make sense, Tanmay? All right, let me know if that did make sense. If not, of course, we'll look at some examples, and if I can't explain it any better, we will ask ChatGPT to do it. All right. Right, so this is a fun video to watch later. I am not very fond of the audio, but you all can go to the visuals. They have some really nice, simplified versions of what is different from each other. Okay, pandas. We're going to be looking a little in depth into pandas today. Before we close the session. Hopefully, we're already an hour in. We do have a bunch of time left, but in any case, we'll look into. I found this beautiful collab. On pandas. Uh, the thing is, pandas is again a tad step further from NumPy and Matplotlib. So it'll be fun for us to just go through the code, right? It's used for data manipulation and data analysis because we're going to work a lot on data today. We're going to be talking about data left and right. Okay, so we're going to do a little more pandas today, and we're going to be doing a lot of matplotlib, a little bit of numpy, and that's pretty much it. Okay, we might do a little bit of selenium, which will be fun. Okay, so again, this is your pandas code. You can see that we're doing a simple data frame transformation. We're taking data, we're turning it into a data table by using the data frame method in the pandas library, and then we're printing it. Right, simple, nice. What we're going to be doing today, we're going to be doing some very basic data processing, data cleaning, data visualizing today after this stream, that is. Right now we're just going to be looking into basic Python in 5ish minutes, right? Matplotlib, I love Matplotlib. It basically does 2D plotting. It works with standard GUI kits. It's used a lot in when you're starting out with machine learning and we're working with data, especially in data science, right? So today we'll be looking into the data science part of machine learning after, right? So you can see we have a simple function here. We're using NumPy to prepare the data, then we're plotting it using the imported library, imported object, or the object we've associated the imported library to, which is you can see here, import matplotlib.pylot as PLT. And we're using the method associated in that library to plot the data. We want a linear data plotting, and we're adding a legend, and we're showing the plot. Simple, easy, lovely, right? We can also handle a bunch of files and images rather easily in Python and with different languages, but we won't be looking a lot into it today. Okay, awesome, folks. That's the PPT. Let's take a 5-minute breather, and we will come back and do a lot of coding. Okay, Tanmay, that made sense. I'm glad it did. Are all noise in the data bad? Depends again on the purpose of the data, on the purpose of your uh, model. But let's take a 5-minute breather. It's 1:40 on my clock right now. We'll be back around 1:45. Okay. Hydrate yourselves a lot. It's very hot in India, in the place I am, so I know I need to hydrate. But yeah, if y'all, wherever y'all are, drink some water, and we'll be back in 5. Okay. And we'll be doing a bunch of code. We'll be going through a lot of code. All right, folks. See you all in 5. And we're back, folks. I hope you all hydrated yourself. I did. I feel like I can talk more now. But great. Collab time, folks. I am so excited. I found these really cool collabs, like really well structured with all the right comments and everything. I'll tell you the one that I created for the workshops I used to run. And just because I put in some work, I want you all to see it. But feel free to use the ones that are the ones made by Google. They're really nice, and with we'll go through it together. See, when you're not talking on stream for a long time, you forget to talk slowly. That's a great question, Tanmay. I am actually not aware of what free swag is available this time around, but usually, every time you participate, we send out a nice envelope with really cool GHW swag. If you have registered and checked in to GHW, if you have signed up on the ghw.mlh.io website, you get some default swag. And then after a point, the more sessions you attend, the more challenges you submit to, you keep adding more swag. Now, the amount of sessions and challenges versus extra swag changes GHW to GHW. I would recommend watching the first stream, that is the opening ceremony of GHW, to be sure. If you want, let me quickly drop you a link. Not Twitter, Twitch, please. Twitch. Let's see. MLH, videos, and recent broadcasts, and you should be able to see the opening ceremony around 3 days back. Oh, Stephen did some streams. Stephen Cropper is one of the oldest coaches, and he's one of the most amazing people to learn something with. You should definitely go check out Stephen's streams. Opening ceremony. There we go. Found it. Copy link. And there you go, Tanmay. Honestly, Tanmay, I am not following along the point structure this time, but if you are confused, you can always create a Discord ticket. Yeah, I hope that helps. I am not sure if Twitch sharing works like this, but let me know if the video URL doesn't work. But collab time, folks. This is the first collab you all will be following. This is the one that I created. Okay, it has some very basic Python code. Uh, Creating variables, creating an empty list, appending data in the list, so on and so forth. Then there is the Python tutorial created by Google, which I was going through yesterday, which is slightly better explained, but really mostly the same. It has a bunch of extra stuff in the end that I haven't covered in the basic tutorial, so I think it'll be fun going through it. Okay, awesome. Let me share my screen again. Present, share screen, Chrome tab, and let's start with the first link that I shared. So this is the link I am at. Okay, or the Twitch one. Okay, this is the link I'm at. The first one that I shared. And let me know once you're ready to go. We'll quickly go over it. We'll go through them. As you can see, I've already done a run all. But in case you all are joining this for the first time, you can see there's a reconnect option, which means it's not connected to the server that's going to be running the code. So I'm going to go to runtime, run all. It's going to connect. You can see here it's connecting. And it's going to start playing. Okay. So the first code here is random function defined. Okay, but you can see this function is being called nowhere, right? So this was just me trying to give an example of how a defining of the function, indentation, and everything works. Okay, let's go on to the very, very basic code of declaring variables. Like I said, Python is a dynamically typed language, and you all here seem to know a lot about machine learning already. So I know you all probably don't want me to cover this. Help each other out. So if any of this code, however basic it may seem, does not make sense, question. Okay, remember that was our first slide. Ask as many questions as you can, right? And you all have already done a great job at it. right? So we're declaring variables here in Python. Again, it's a dynamically typed language, so we're not defining what we're the data type needs to be. We're simply putting the data type, and Python is going to figure out, the compiler out is going to figure out that it is an integer. Okay, then we're printing my number. Again, we don't have to specify the data type like we have to do in languages like C, that hey, I'm printing an integer, print this variable. You can simply print the variable and it'll print. You can see there are no semicolons either. And now this code is a very simple code, so there is no indentation whatsoever, right? But okay, you can see I'm it's giving the same variable different data types. That is, over here I'm giving it a float, over here I'm giving it a string, and then I'm printing them. The fun part over here to notice is when I try to concatenate a number and a string, it's gonna return string. Okay, make sense, folks? So that's what's happening. All right. I also, this is also a way to parse your different variables. So the data type you want, bracket the variable, and you're gonna get the that data value type. So if I were to put integer in my number that is over here, it would give me the integer value of these letters. Make sense? Okay, let's go to the next one. Python program to illustrator list. This is going to create an empty list. Nums equal to square brackets. Okay, nums dot append, nums dot append float. So what's the difference between a list and an array? That you can have different data types in the same list, but you cannot have different data types in an array, because an array by definition means similar data types, right, in a sequential manner. And then we're doing append, so we have three different data types in a list. Now you can't do this with an array. Again, at no point am I specifying whether it's a list or an array, but the methods will always change. Okay, awesome, great. We have, now this is how you take an input, and this is how you specify that you only want an integer as an input, or if I enter a string, take the integer value of it. Okay, so let's say if I type a, it's going to throw an error. Okay, so I'm going to run this again and put 4, 6, and then it's going to give me a num3 being the product of num1 and num6. Again, print product is whatever you want printed later with the space will be printed once you give a comma and the data type. And simple enough, folks. Right, and as you can tell over here, the return type of input function by default is a string. So if you want it in another data type, you need to specify it. And the syntax is the same. For here, when we were converting it to string, or rather parsing it to string, we were using str in brackets. Over here, when we're doing integer parsing, we're doing an integer in brackets. Make sense, folks? I know, right? I was very, very stunned to see that myself, because I opened Colab after a long time and preparing for the stream. And I was like, But yeah, I'm not very fond of it. What is an appended statement? I don't know what you're talking about as an appended. If you're talking about the append method over here, it basically is the method in the lists object or the data type where you're using it to add more elements to the list. Okay, does that make sense, Tanmay? All right, quick, folks. Let's not spend too much time here because there's some really fun stuff ahead. Okay, next we have Python program to illustrate the selection statement, right? So we have if num1 is greater than 12, we'll get, what will we get here? This will return a true or a false for us, right? And we're going to print num1 is good. If you can see, nothing is indented here except the thing happening inside if. What will happen if I remove the indentation? This is going to throw an error because it's going to be an elif without a if. Okay, so instead, let's see, let me not, I'll just remove this. Okay, and there you go. So it's, I go here and I do. So this is a nice compiler and a program, so it won't let it run. But if you run it locally, ideally it will just skip it and print num2 as grade. So we can do that, right? If I remove the indentation here and just go print no not indented code, this is how it's gonna work, right? So it went into this loop, and depending on the number, the condition it satisfied, it printed this, and then it printed not indented code, right? This is a really nice fist bus example code that people do when they're learning a new language. It helps us segregate the order of logic. Oh yeah, that's because we haven't created that file 22.txt. We'll create it once we get to that code. Emily, give me 1 second, we'll get to it, right? Y'all are amazing, y'all are so fast. But okay, let's quickly go over illustrating functions. We have a def hello. You can see this is what's going to specify that it's a function. In that, when we call the function hello, it will print hello and hello again. Hello here first is the, well, recursion value, and next one, there you go. So it printed the function hello with the position when you're calling print hello, which is the function itself, and then you're printing hello again, so it's printing hello again. In the main function, we've just called hello, right? Over here I haven't declared the main function yet, okay? But it's still taking up whatever I'm defaulting without any headers or any indentation as the main code, okay? Over here it's going to cause an error. So for this, what we're going to do is we're going to go here, okay? Table of contents, no, 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 folks, not here. So we're going to go in file. uh this is what happens when you haven't used, yeah, there you go. So you're going to the file system. Over here, what you're going to do is you're going to create a new folder. Sample data, no, new file, there you go. So right click and new file. Over here we're going to create a file 22.txt, okay? And I mean, this name can be anything over here, by the way. So let's make this file one rather, and enter, and the file opened. And I'm just going to put or rather, I don't want to put anything here, so I'm going to close this, and now I'm going to run this with a file one, and let's see. Argument should be integer, not string. I wonder why. Okay, never mind. I'll fix this bug later. Let's go on to the next one where we're opening a new file and just writing a random thing to it. So when I play this, when I run this rather, it's gonna do it. And over here, if I refresh, ideally, it should have created home. Hmm, let's see if I can search for it. Nope, cancel. But yeah, basically, why this code runs and that doesn't is because over here you're writing to it and you're giving it right access, right? Over here, the moment I do a W, it should ideally work. There's an indentation error, my bad, I think. What's wrong with this code? Huh. With open as if everything correct there. I think I've gotten the syntax wrong here. Let's see. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. F dot read. Okay, I do not know what's wrong here just yet. Let me fix that in a bit. No, I tried that, which is what I thought it might do, but it's still throwing an error when I'm doing a F read one. It didn't take for me. That's what I assumed as well. That maybe because I am. The thing is, it should return empty anyway. I can try and put something in F dot read if that helps. If I can only look at where I'm supposed to be. Content. There we go. Content. That's where I want to be. So you can see it created file 22.txt, right? So see, it created it when I did an open. Let's go in file and let's just put something here, right? Hello world, we are at GHW. Okay, and let me put something on 3 and go, hey there, testing arguments. Okay, now let's do an f dot read and see what happens. And let me see by giving an argument. See, it's still telling me it's not readable. So there's a different error altogether. Let me remove the argument. So let me change the way I'm structuring this. Okay, so f is equal to, mm, and let's do r. Yeah, but it still didn't print it. So this syntax works now. But it won't print. So now let me try and give an integer argument as you suggested. Anushka. Nope. Let me try 0 actually, since we're going to be starting the thing at 0. Nope, still nothing. Let's try something else. So let's try data is equal to f dot read, and then print data. Nope, something wrong. I'll just look into why the reading is not working. Uh, so you can see that this entire code runs, right? So if I go here and I open file 22.txt, it has appended and everything. So if I run it again, it's still going to be fine. So let me just remove this and do this. Close this, run this again. File 22.txt. There we go. So this is working and the syntax and everything is the same. So I wonder what's wrong with this. It's definitely not the path. Oh, folks, my bad. This is a very stupid thing. I see what happened. I haven't been saving this file. This should work now. There we go. So sorry, folks. That was a very bad mistake. Hi, Ahmed. Welcome to the stream. Ahmed is one of my absolute favorite hackers. Also, he's also super helpful. So if you all are in a community in Chennai, Ahmed probably knows a cool thing for you to attend. Okay, I see you all have given a lot of suggestions. Thank you so much for helping me. Uh, oh yeah. I know I'm not supposed to apply W, but it wasn't reading earlier, so I was just trying to experiment. It was throwing an error earlier, so I was seeing if it was a permission error. Uh, Thank you so much for telling me it's right mode. R plus. I should have tried an R plus. You're right. Uh, that's exactly what I thought, right? Maybe right will give me more permissions and it'll give me a higher level of authorization. Uh, that's interesting, Tanmay. 45 out of all things work. But yeah, integer input did not work for me. The current code for me is working. And what we will do is one last uh, permutation so that we know what was going wrong. It's been a really long time. I haven't taken a stream in almost 6-ish months, but here I am, right? Uh, I'm actually a Marvel person. Most definitely a Marvel person. If you were asking me, that is Arshad. Also, welcome to the stream, Arshad. And hi, Athika Cloud. Hi there, Elang BR. Thank you so much for helping me, folks. I really appreciate it. And but yeah, let's continue. This wasn't supposed to take so much time. Oh my god. But I'm just gonna do a quick permutation to make sure that we understand what was going wrong, right? So I'm just gonna remove this, do a print here, print. Okay, and let's hope this works. It does. And let's one last time try the integer value input and see what happens. So let's go. Hey, welcome to GHW. Hit save, and it read the whole thing. But if I give it only the argument, let's say 0, it gives me nothing. And if I give it 1, let's see what happens. I get age. So it's reading. So you all can see what's happening within when I'm giving it a number, right? It's literally just parsing each letter. So let's try and give it, I don't know, 100. Ah, 100. And it read 1 200. Make sense? So basically, it's going to read till that character. So let's try giving it 6 and see what happens. And it gives us 6 characters from the starting. Interesting. Make sense, folks? So the integer value basically specifies till the character number in the file, right? Not what I wanted to do. Let's close the files now since we're up. Okay, let's look at the second program very quickly. I know we've already done it. So next, the R is basically read permission that open this file in read mode, rather the mode, not the authorization. And we're going to use the integer, or rather the variable f, to store the data, and then f when we do a dot read, and again we realize that the character here specifies still the character number that you want to read it till. Again, with open, it's a function in Python. You're going to do file name in write mode, saved in f dot write, and you do, and then it adds it. You can do an append in the later one. You can also line dot split and read and store data in a specific variable. And again, you can do a quick write at any given point, and it will append when you open it in the mode append. If you open it in the mode write, what it's going to do, it's going to overwrite the data, right? So now when I open file 22.txt, it should ideally have only hey, like I said, right? If I open it in write mode, it's going to overwrite it. When I do append, it's going to add to it, right? So experiment done. Let's run this and we're good. Okay, next we have tuple using a list. Okay, so let's run this. So we have a tuple created using a list. Then we have dictionaries. We have been speaking about a dictionary for a long time. And let's see, right? So we're declaring a hash function. So we have a key value equal to this. This is how it knows that we're declaring a dictionary. This is a function, by the way, of declaring a dictionary. In that, we're adding key value pair. So key value 2 is equal to 56, key value 1 is equal to 2. Okay. Next, see, we're using a lambda function here now, right? Why are we using a lambda function here? Because we don't want to create a separate function, name it, and then access it differently. We just want to access this function within the function. So you see a lambda function over here has been defined within a function, right? This is inside the dictionary function. All right. So whoever was asking why and where would we use the lambda function, this is a really nice example, right? Oh, the screen is frozen. Oh, my bad, folks. Let me reshare it. Let me reshare. Thank you so much for letting me know. Python workshop share. Is the screen visible now, folks? Oh, it was good. It was good. Well, is it okay? It should be fine now. Either way. All right. So this is a really good example of lambda function being used. And so what we're doing is once we add the key value pairs, we are sorting it in alphabetical order of the value. Okay. So we're going to do a def main. This is again, we're defining the main function. Remember, till now we haven't been defining the main function. Okay. We define the main function and that we're calling dictionary. And we're saying if name is equal to main, then call main function, right? And that's what we're doing. This is what's happening. And when I run this code, you can see I entered it randomly, right? 1, 2, 5, 12, 6, 3 last. And once we run the sorted method for the functions, in that we have defined a lambda function, which we are doing a key value 1 to key value 0. And once we do that, it is going to sort us the alphabetical order of the value. When they say alphabetical, they mean basically in the right order, right? So 1 to 6 here, right? You can see 1, then you have 5, then you have 6, then you, oh, wait, my bad. By the value. Okay. Huh, weird. I think this is not running correctly. I wonder what's happening here. Give me 1 second, folks. This is not how it's supposed to give the output. Interesting. So you see, it makes sense that what it's doing is it's sorting the key as per the alphabetical value, but over here the order still doesn't make sense. Regardless, what we need to understand here is how we are initializing the value. Okay, what I am going to do over here is I'm going to remove the key lambda function. Okay, so I'm going to remove this and see if this works. Weird. Let's come back to this in a bit. This is anyway the last program. Quickly, let's go over the binary search and I'll come back and explain to this. I don't remember what I was thinking here. I'm pretty sure this was supposed to be a really nice complex example of explaining multiple things in the one go. But I'll come back to this. Okay. Anyway, so let's look at binary search. We all know how binary search works. Thank you, Nilay, for answering the question. Tanmay, I don't get the question. Are you asking why there is indentation in the dictionary function, or are you thinking that the error is because of the indentation in the dictionary function? Again, thank you, Nilay, for answering this, but let's quickly go over this and we'll come back. So the binary search, you all know what we basically do is we split the entire array into high and low, sort it, and then keep going through the search. This is supposed to be much better in terms of your complexity, right? right? So again, that's what we're doing. We're doing a high low. Okay, we're splitting your entire thing using a recursion mode. Here you can see we are calling the binary search over and over again until we have return none, right? So, and we're returning mid, and that's how we're doing binary search. Let's run this very quickly. Let's input a bunch of things: 5, 6, 7, 9, 15, 7. Okay, I'm pretty sure I edited the code and I don't remember why it's happening. Hmm, this is so weird. Hmm. This is so funny. I've called the function. I've not really called the like I've passed made it in the function but not called it anywhere. I was obviously very sleepy while writing this code. But basically, once you take the input, you need to feed the input into your functions that we've written here. So yeah. But anyway, the algorithm remains the same. So let's look at the algorithm. Uh, we'll first have a binary search and then we have a binary search recursion. So we start with the binary search, pass it into recursion, and from there we return the mid value. Okay, makes sense, folks? Over here we're passing an array and a query. Over here we're passing an array, low, high, and val, right? So you can see that we'll only get this once we run the binary search. So once we get the input, I would ideally have to call binary search. Let's put this into, well, data equal to int input. Also, I will have to return a list here. So I'm going to put data equal to input data. And I should be calling the binary search recursion from here. Okay, so let me stop this, run this over again. Input. Okay, we'll fix this bug later. As I can tell, I was very sleepy when I've written both the last pairs of code. I'll have to figure what's happening here. Also, because I'm pretty sure this was supposed to be a very smart example for me. Regardless, lesson learned. Let's not write code when we're sleepy. Thank you. It isn't exactly nice when it's crows, but I am in Pune right now. But yeah, let's quickly look at the other code that I've sent you all, the other code lab. Luckily, it's not written by me, so it won't have such stupid errors. Uh, where did the link go? Let me share the link again with you all, and this should help. Done. Python tutorial. And there we go, folks. So this is the second link. Let me go through this code. Let me see what I was thinking when I was writing this code yesterday. Uh, obviously not in the right mind. But yeah, I'll go through this. This is gonna drive me crazy if I don't solve it. But we have another stream in an hour, so we'll fix it then. Okay. Let's look at Python tutorial very quickly, the one that I've just sent you, and you can see this is a much better documented code because it's not well done by someone at 4 a.m. But yeah, let's go through this one. Let me share my screen again. Y'all can create copies of this code. Okay, so present, share screen, Python tutorial, share. Okay, so it talks a lot about how Python came to be, and it talks a lot more, and it starts with NumPy and Matplotlib, right? So let's quickly jump to the bottom because we've already done the basics. We've done booleans, we've done strings, we've done. Okay, so this is the code I'm at. This is the I hope I've shared the right. So this is the code I'm at. This is the one by Google Colab, and it's pretty nice. It's very well documented, and I really liked it. The other one I'd created before I found this, so I thought let's go through with it anyway because it's code I thought was smart, but it obviously isn't. I need to fix a bunch of bugs, but once we do, We'll go over it again. Okay. So you can see it covers a lot of basics. You can just go through it, but we already did a lot of it, right? So we've done concatenation, we've done string formatting, we have done object and methods. Not in this exact order, but we've done some random methods onto us. Then we have containers. So our data structures basically are containers, right? So we went through lists, we appended a list, we created a list. We did not do slicing, but slicing is pretty cool. I'm glad there's an example here. So let's just go over it very quickly. Right. Slice is basically going to give you the data from the indices that you specify, as you can tell. Right. So I'm just going to quickly run this and you all will see well the things already there. We haven't done loops, but yeah, loops we did look at them when we were doing the PPT. So we have array or a list, you can call them either here. And for animal and animals, which basically means that this is your dynamically typed language, it's going to start from zero by default, and it's going to iterate through every element in animals, and it's going to print it. So you can see this is what's happening. All right. uh, then this enumeration is actually very important when we're writing functions, but I don't want to go through it right now because we'll anyway not be using enumerate anywhere. We'll be using direct libraries to sort through our data. Okay, we have list comprehensions, we already did append and list methods. We can also do list methods with conditions. Basically, for a true and false, you can append and delete different things. Dictionaries, we were doing dictionaries. My example wasn't great, and my example here isn't running either. But yeah, the rest of the things work. So this is a dictionary, this is your key, this is your value, this is your key, this is your value. You are getting an entry from the dictionary by using print dcat, and it's going to print the key and the value, and it's going to print whether cat exists in D or not. So this is a boolean value, and you will get a true or false based on it existing or not. Okay. When you did a dcat, it printed the value and not the key because you gave it the key. Okay. Great. Next, let's look at the next one. We have dictionary. We're setting an entry, and then when we print it again, we get the value. Okay. You can see over here the dictionary, because there aren't multiple elements, we're only getting one. So we don't have to use the curly brackets. Okay. This is some important syntax for later. I definitely like JavaScript because if you understand JavaScript, you can do a lot of things. You can understand a lot of things because, especially if you want to get into web development. Python, however, is great if you want to stay in backend and data science, working with data and machine learning. Okay, awesome. Let's continue, folks. We're very behind time. So this is supposed to throw an error because you don't have a dictionary defined. Oh, so the example is supposed to be an error. Okay, so that's great. So if you don't have a dictionary and of course you don't have a key value, it's going to throw an error. Okay, uh, you are getting this over here because when you do a d dot get, you are also appending the dictionary. Over here, there is no dictionary, and hence when you do it, it gives you no response. It throws an error, right? But over here, when you're doing this, you are already giving a default answer. So it's printing the default answer. But over here, when you do a print d.get, it sees that there's a fish. When it sees a fish in the dictionary, it prints wet. If there was no fish, it would have printed a not applicable. Right? So you're giving a default response when you're asking the method to get something from a dictionary. Okay, this is how simply deletion works in a dictionary. Simple enough. All right. Okay, we've done a bunch of dictionary definitions. I'm going to quickly go over to sets. Okay, a set is an unordered collection of distinct elements. Okay, so a set is between an array and a list. Okay, again, similar methods. So you can get the length, you can check whether or not there's an element in the list. You'll get a boolean value, true or false in Python. For that, you can check the length of the entire set, and you can loop through it, right? Again, over here for looping, we're using directly the enumerate function. Okay, you can, again, like you do in lists and dictionaries, create a conditional set. Okay, tuples, a tuple is an immutable ordered list. So this tuple is basically a list in a string format, right? So it's similar to string where it's immutable, but it is different types of data types too, right? uh, so again, the most important difference between a tuple and a dictionary is that the elements of sets can have a key value pair while lists cannot, right? So this is a nice example. So you can do a key value pair. Now, a tuple can have an element which does not have a value. So you won't get an error here, right? Unlike your dictionary. Okay. All right. Functions, we already did functions. We did an else if. Classes, we haven't done. But if you all have done any object oriented programming, you all know how classes work, right? I told you we'll go over double underscores in a bit because there is an example ahead, right? This is how you start with NumPy. Okay, I'd suggest you go through this and run all of it. Again, arrays, the reason why arrays are last over here is because you are going to work a lot with arrays when you're doing data and machine learning, right? Remember when we were doing the NumPy example or reading the NumPy example, we were working a lot with arrays, which is so funny because the whole reason why people love Python is it has more data types than other languages, and yet in the end you end up using the most is array. Okay. Mm, you can use JS in ML. We'll actually be doing ML5.js tomorrow with P5.js. That'll be fun. No, there is no age requirement. If you are about 13 and under 18, there is a parent's consent that you need to get. But apart from that, no age restriction, I believe. Um, so Python is used more for data processing and model making. So depends when you say how do you mean machine learning. To use machine learning, it's basically an API call, right? Which is why we discussed APIs in the beginning. But the actual making of machine learning, the model and the playing around with data, even I haven't seen a lot of JavaScript being used, but I don't believe it's not possible because of the amount of web developers out there, right? Yeah, TensorFlow.js has been around for a long time, not new actually. Uh, you know what? That's fine. Learn one thing and learn one thing properly. Okay. Awesome, folks. So like I said, let's please go through this. Arrays we'll be doing and NumPy will be doing in detail in the next session, which is in an hour. And you can see we already read through the data. You can use NumPy.array to play around with bigger dimensional arrays, sort through it, multiply it, get dot products, get vector products, get cross products, and whatnot, right? Uh, we'll go over the concepts of all these products also in the next session, and we'll be doing some fun stuff, right? So I'm just scrolling through and seeing if I can find the double underscore example for you all because you all asked me the question, but I can't. Hmm. Hmm. We'll be doing matplotlib in detail as well. It's very simple. I know Emily said that y'all have been using matplotlib to generate sine functions and cosine functions, waves, and here you go. These are some nice examples of the same. Right. So go through this collab tutorial. Collab, it's very in depth, and we'll be using a bunch of it. But what we'll be doing in the next session is we'll be creating two tiny projects. One, we'll web scrape, just web scrape and see how data from web scraping looks like and why when you're web scraping data you need to do a lot more data cleaning and data processing. Second, we'll get some data from the Spotify API and then plot it using matplotlib and look at what exploratory data analysis means. I also found a really cool collab for that for us to follow, and we'll just go through that. Okay. I do code in JS actually. I use React. Well, I'm glad you had fun, Tanmay. I am so sorry about the errors. I have no clue what those why I've written the code like that. Let me figure it out and I'll show it to you in the next session. But yeah, we ended up being a little slow, but then that's most of my streams because I have to answer every comment in the StreamYard. I never regret it. I love each one of you joining in the stream, especially when y'all come back or meet me at hackathons. Right. So, folks, I'm gonna close this stream though, because we're pretty over time, and it's a nice 1 hour break. I'll see you in an hour and we'll build some pretty cool stuff. I have basically no PPT for the other stream. We're gonna get started with hands-on right away. If you all want me to go over the collab or any specific thing in the collab, I will. And for the questions that you all have asked and I haven't shown you the examples, I'm gonna hunt down the examples and keep them ready for the next stream. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining, folks. I am so glad you all could make it. I'm so excited to be back doing GHW streams. Thank you, Nilay. Thank you so much for answering questions for the hackers. I appreciate you all so much for helping each other out. I'll see you on an hour, folks. Grab some lunch and don't be sleepy and hydrate. Bye, folks. I will see you very soon.